At Thales, we know cybersecurity can be tough and you can't protect everything, but with Thales, you can secure what matters most. With Thales industry-leading platforms, you can protect critical applications, data, and identities, anywhere and at scale with the highest ROI. That's why the most trusted brands and largest banks, retailers, and healthcare companies in the world rely on Thales to protect what matters most. Applications, data, and identities. That's Thales, Thales. Learn more at thalesgroup.com/cyber.
At Starbucks, we offer full and part-time baristas 100% upfront college tuition coverage, which means they can thrive at our company and in class. At Starbucks, benefits like college tuition coverage are just the start.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show. Thank you so much for tuning in this weekend. My next guest is John Fund. You all know John Fund from his years of being one of the top political writers at the Wall Street Journal. He's also written for National Review. He's written several books on elections and is one of the smartest political commentators I know. So, John, thanks so much for joining.
Pleasure. Thanks, Steve.
So let's start with the issue of the day, which is what is going to happen to our government in Washington. It looks like at this moment we're headed towards a potential shutdown. Now, you and I have been in and around Washington for 40 years, so we've been to this movie before. One of the things that worries me about this is that every time there's a shutdown, whether it's a Republican president or a Democratic president or a Republican House and Senate or a Democratic House and Senate, it's always the Republicans' fault, John. So the question is, tell us what this is about. What are the stakes and what are they arguing about?
Well, it's no surprise the media will blame the Republicans for any government shutdown. But, not all shutdowns are the same. There have been shutdowns where the Republicans were finally making some progress in messaging their needs to the American voters. And then the Republicans would withdraw. For example, Bob Dole gave in on a famous shutdown during Newt Gingrich's reign in the 1990s, and they were just on the verge of victory. I believe that the Democrats are doing this for a variety of reasons. One, their left will not let them do the same thing they did in March, which is just allow a continuing resolution that funds the government programs at existing levels. They hate Trump so much they're going to demand complete resistance. And Chuck Schumer is very worried about a primary from AOC in New York, and he's going to fight. The second reason is that they have the elections for Virginia governor and New Jersey governor. There are a lot of federal employees in New Jersey. There are a lot of federal employees, the most in the country per capita in Virginia. The Democrats believe that if there's a government shutdown that lasts through October, and remember, the one in 2013 lasted 35 days, federal workers will be motivated to turn out and vote. So I think it's cynical, but I think that's one of the reasons why the Democrats are doing something which some of their people in their own party say is a mistake, like Senator Fetterman from Pennsylvania.
So I agree with you, John. I think this is all about politics, and it's all about who can win the upper hand. Now, Republicans are saying that they want to control government spending. By the way, even before this lockdown, federal spending is already up 7% this year. So it's not as if we're starving government here by any means.
It's baked in the cake.
Yeah, it's baked in the cake. So, by the way, the programs that are growing most rapidly and are out of control are Medicare, Medicaid, and the welfare programs. And those are exactly the programs, John Fund, that the Democrats want more money for.
Well, Medicaid is a failed program. And as you know, the reforms that have been passed for it just deal with it around the edges. But even that saves a lot of money. The Democrats, though, it's not about helping people. It's about helping a constituency that is supposedly helping people, right. The welfare bureaucracy.
That's right.
And I believe that this is a battle for the heart and soul of the Washington, which is, does Washington ever care? Will it ever be possible to cut any spending anytime, anywhere? Right. And look, the Republicans have had a horrible spending record, but at least they wanted to cut something. Right. So I believe this has symbolic importance, and the Republicans cannot afford to retreat. Now, to his credit, the head of the Trump Budget Office, Russell Vought, says we're not only going to prioritize the programs that are essential, so we'll know which government programs are not viewed as essential. if we have a shutdown and then we take the shutdown away, we're going to fire a bunch of workers, and we're not necessarily going to bring them back if we don't think they're essential to the mission of the agency. So that would be real savings in federal employees.
So you and I are old enough to remember, and I think a lot of our audience is on this network and others around the country, that, well, do you remember when Bill Clinton was president? And he very famously, in I believe it was his 1996 or I think it was 95 or 96 State of the Union address, he very famously said, "The era of big government is over." And by the way, the applause line from that all over the Congress was amazing. And the American people applauded that line too. The era of big government is over. The other thing that Donald Trump talked about in that State of the Union, just to give you a sense of how much the Democratic Party has changed.
Bill Clinton talked about it.
Yes. Bill Clinton said that if you're on welfare, you need to be working. You know, we need work requirements, which was very, very popular and remains very popular today. Well, those are the very issues and principles that Democrats are against today. In other words, they want to close down the government because Republicans want work requirements, and they want to shut down the government because they want the return and the continuation of the era of big government.
Well, and just remember, the work requirements of today are not nearly as onerous as they were in the 1990s. If you can keep your Medicaid program, if you're an able-bodied adult under the age of 60, you can keep it if you just do one of three things. You work 20 hours a week, you're in training 20 hours a week for job training, for example, or you're volunteering.
Right.
Now, that, if you're able-bodied, is not a major burden on your life.
No, it isn't. And I think the polls are showing, 70% of Americans are for, able-bodied people. If you're going to get a government check or you're going to get food stamps or you're going to get free health care, that you should be working for it. If you look at what's happened to Medicaid and Medicare, the numbers show that in Medicaid, according to the government's own auditors, John Fund, $150 billion of fraud, $150 billion of fraud. Medicare has roughly the same amount of fraud. And here's a point I'd like your response to. One of the things that we've been finding at Unleash Prosperity, because we're fighting for limited government and balanced budgets and judicious levels of spending, is that the health insurance companies are in bed with the left to expand these programs because they're making huge amounts of money off of these government subsidized health insurance. Essentially what's happening, I want to make sure our listeners understand, the government is basically paying the premiums for people, and that premium money goes right into the hands of the health insurance companies. And I find that to be very problematic.
Well, let's take a look at United Healthcare, which is basically run and controlled by AARP,
yes,
which is a big government lobby.
Right.
Steve, I just signed up for Medicare a year or so ago, and I got a physical. It's great. I was happy with it, but I'm in an insurance program managed by United Healthcare. So I start getting these phone calls and texts from United Healthcare. We want to visit you in your home, and we want to give you special, nutrition. Well, no, nothing.
Right, not you.
Nothing.
But the taxpayer.
Oh, listen, I never could get a straight answer. But I believe that they're chasing a $250 reimbursement. I already had a physical. I don't need them to visit me in my home.
But John, look.
But it's the conspiracy between big government and big business.
Yeah, it really is. And we just have 1 minute left in this segment, John. And I just was noticing this morning this news break that Sinclair will put Jimmy Kimmel back on the air. I wonder what do you think of this whole melodrama?
Well, the alternative was to put local news programming on. That costs money to put on. I think that over time, it was probably a little weird that 25%.
His ratings are not very good, are they?
Well, no one's ratings on television are good anymore. Do you know anyone under 40 who watches television now? No, it doesn't happen.
Our kids don't even have TV.
What's a TV? I think the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing was frankly.
I don't think that Trump should have kind of.
No. The real villain.
Yeah.
Was Brendan Carr, the head of the Federal Communications Commission, because he made Jimmy Kimmel a hero, which was something that Jimmy Kimmel could never have done on his own. Now Jimmy Kimmel can never be fired. So ABC is stuck with him and his $100 million.
Okay, folks, I hope none of you watch Jimmy Kimmel. I think I've probably watched that show about twice in my whole life. We've come a long way from Johnny Carson and David Letterman and people like that. Folks, we will be right back. When we come back, we will continue our conversation with one of the smartest political minds in America, and that is John Fund.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The More Money Show with Steve Moore.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show on WABC and stations throughout the country. Thanks so much for joining. I'm having a fascinating conversation with my friend and colleague, John Fund. You all know John Fund from the Wall Street Journal, from National Review, from his many books on politics, from his many appearances on Fox News. He is one of the brightest minds on what's happening in politics, so we're having a good discussion about what is going on in Washington, D.C. But I want to take it out of Washington, D.C. right now, John, and talk about two states and two areas of the country that are having interesting developments. One of them, because we cover the Northeast with this radio station, there's a lot of interest in what's going to happen in that governor's race in New Jersey. So tell us, New Jersey is a pretty blue state, but they have elected some Republican governors in the past when things get really bad. And John, to me, it looks like things have gotten pretty bad in New Jersey.
Well, it may be a blue state, but
now, who's the Republican? Who's the Democrat?
It may be a blue state, but they're feeling blue because of because of the economy and high taxes and regulation. Phil Murphy is the two-term governor of New Jersey. He was the guy who succeeded Chris Christie, and he has driven New Jersey into the ground. Energy prices, thanks to all those windmills and solar panels and renewable mandates, have gone up 50%. Taxes are through the roof. New Jersey property taxes are some of the highest in the country. The state is in trouble.
By the way, our study that we've done at Unleash Prosperity shows hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people moving out of New Jersey to Texas, to Florida.
It's a mini New York story. It's like New York in miniature.
And by the way, those people are taking a lot of money with them, which is why they have to keep raising the taxes, because there are fewer people to pluck the feathers from.
But 4 years ago, Murphy was running for re-election. Everybody said he was 10 points ahead, 15 points ahead. When the votes, it was 2 points in the end. Yeah. 2 points.
And he outspent his Republican, by 20 to 1.
Exactly. Jack Ciattarelli is the Republican candidate then, and he is now again. He has just pulled even in the Emerson poll.
What kind of governor has he been?
Well, Ciattarelli is the Republican candidate against the.
Who's the Democrat?
The Democrat is Mickey Sherrill, who is a congresswoman. No, she's the
this is
Murphy is two-term limit.
Okay,
he's two-term limit.
Thank you.
Mickey Sherrill is the Democratic congresswoman. She's running against Jack Ciattarelli, who was the Republican candidate last time. It's not been considered a competitive race, but Ciattarelli is pounding home that New Jersey has to change, or else people are going to be forced to move out of the country.
One of the things he talked about was maybe moving towards eliminating the income tax, which would be an amazing thing if they could accomplish that.
And New Jersey didn't have an income tax until about 1980.
And ever since they announced the income tax, the state has been a basket case.
Now, there's also been one other recent development.
Yes.
Mickey Sherrill's big call to fame is, I'm a moderate Democrat. I served as a helicopter pilot in the military for 10 years. I'm a new kind of Democrat. Well, it turns out that her records from the military academy have been released. She was not allowed to walk across the quad or graduate with the rest of her class.
Why?
Because of a cheating scandal.
Wow.
Now, she won't release...
You mean she lies?
Well, it's murky. She says, I refused to rat on other students who were cheating on tests. So because I was against the honor code, I was punished. But she won't release the records. So maybe she was involved in the cheating scandal directly.
So what do you make of this race? Is it competitive?
The Emerson poll, which is an independent poll, neither Republican nor Democrat, says it's tied.
Wow.
And that is 5 weeks to go.
Now, what if you were helping the Republican, which you're not, you don't get involved in races, but what advice would you give to him down the stretch?
What has the last 8 years gotten you except woe and trouble?
Last 12 years, I mean.
Well, that was before Christie. Christie was governor 8 years ago. That's Murphy took over from him.
I thought he served 2 terms.
12 years ago, Christie won re-election for a second term. Okay. So the bottom line is this. Republicans have not covered themselves in glory in New Jersey, but at least they haven't made things worse. And Citarelli is a former businessman. He is someone who served in county government. He's kept taxes down at the county level. I think he realizes that if New Jersey doesn't change, he's going to be sitting on a failed state.
But do you think that New Jersey residents realize what desperate, dangerous times they are?
That's how Citarelli came within 2 points of winning last time, being outspent. I think this is a very competitive.
Change. Okay, we got literally 45 seconds left. Quickly on the New York race, I've taken some heat this week for saying on Fox News the other day that if I had to choose between Mamdani and Cuomo, I'd pick Mamdani because I think Cuomo was such a horrific governor in the way he handled COVID and all the seniors who died in the nursing homes and so on. But that isn't much of a choice between.
No, but I live in New York City, Steve, so I can't. I don't have the luxury of your dispassionate view.
Yeah, how bad is Mamdani?
I think he's very bad, but the powers of the mayor of New York are not nearly as great as people fear they are. The problem, and I'll finish with this, the perception that he can do a lot more damage than he actually can will drive jobs and businesses and people out of the city.
And one last thing is that if he wins, that will move the Democratic Party to the left, will it not?
The Democratic Socialists of America elected him in the Democratic primary. The danger is the Democratic Party in the future going to be controlled by Democrats or Democratic Socialists?
Well, if he wins, I think the Democrat Socialists will say, see, we have a winning formula here.
Yeah, unfortunately, it only works in urban areas
exactly,
of more than 1 million.
Red State America. Okay, folks, John Fund, thanks so much for joining. We will be right back.
Thanks for listening to More Money with Steve Moore. You can hear More Money with Steve Moore Saturday afternoons at 1. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
This Sunday is the Tunnel to Towers Foundation Walk Run, and our team is in need of your support. Right now, every dollar counts. The WABC hosts must all rally their loyal audience to participate. Go to WABCRadio.com/walk and help your favorite hosts right here at WABC and support the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Go to WABCRadio.com/walk. Help WABC raise money for the amazing Tunnel to Towers Foundation Walk Run. Go to WABCRadio.com/walk.
Every minute your finance team spends wrestling with data is a minute lost. Insight Software's AI-powered insights instantly move you from complexity to clarity. Automated analysis, real-time reporting, strategic recommendations, all at your fingertips. Transform how your finance team works and watch your business grow. Stop wasting time. Start making smarter decisions. Learn more at insightsoftware.com/AI.